You know the day destroys the night, night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side.
God bless America. Thank you for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Matt Todd, and this is the Ranch Podcast that explores the Dry Creek Ranch people and communities and the broader Eagle area. Today's episode is about the HOA meeting from last week. Bit of a snafu, I'll be completely honest with you. There were a lot of key points that are important for people to take away, but it did get quite heated with a couple key issues. So I'm going to do my best to recount it. It was 2 hours. It was a little difficult going back all over everything again, but I did my best to grab all the key points. If I did miss something, please reach out, and there will be follow-ups with specific individuals from the meeting, so fear not. So let's get to our first issue. Stephen and Kristen were very kindly there. Stephen is the marketing director of Boise Hunter Homes, and Kristen is the head of the HOA. After giving us a handout and giving brief introductions, the questions started coming in. The first large question was about RV parking. Now, here's the deal. You have a 72-hour grace period to park your RV or trailer or whatever. Make sure you're parking it on the right side of the street, opposite the fire hydrants. The sergeant that came and spoke was very clear about this. But aside from that, 72-hour grace period. Now, some people have been calling the cops or complaining to the HOA about their neighbors. Some people have also been getting violations about their RV trailer. Now, the difficulty with this is that the HOA sends out a violation person every 2 weeks. So say this person comes out on Monday. Well, if you pulled your RV up onto the street, opposite the fire hydrant, in front of your house and are loading and unloading, okay, fine. But if the person comes around an hour after you have pulled up, well, they're going to cite you for it. Now, again, you have 72 hours to be there. So the biggest problem with the RV citations is that even though you have a 72-hour grace period, they're citing you if they see you on the street. And there's no mechanism for them to come back 4 or 5 days later to see if you indeed haven't moved your vehicle. So this is a bit of a complex issue. I think the HOA really needs to revise this, or at least have some kind of warning system that's not a violation. Or perhaps warning's wrong. Maybe you just need some kind of reminder, which is like, hey, look, I'm happy you're here, but you have 72 hours from now, so, I'm just noting that your RV is here. I don't really know the right thing to do. I don't even have an RV. All I know is that if you only come around once every 2 weeks and people have a 72-hour grace period to move those things, it's not a great idea to hand out violations. Financials were a total mess from the standpoint that they couldn't really answer any questions about them. So if you go, just understand the caveat will be, we are not CPAs. There's a big old jumble of numbers on this other page, which, by the way, I might add, there is an actual line for repair and maintenance at $211,000 and change. And then directly underneath it, there is an additional line for repairs and maintenance. That clocks in at $22,000 and change. So apparently repair and maintenance and repairs and maintenance are distinct budget lines. Again, don't ask the people at the HOA meeting because they're not CPAs and they don't know all the nuances. I would recommend getting a hold of them directly. I do not know how well that communication will go. Street sweeping was up next. Here's the deal. Street sweeping is paid for by the HOA, but it is only designated in the areas still under construction. One gentleman did raise his hand and say, hey, the trucks still come up and down my street, even though my street is not directly under construction anymore. Stephen did say that they had reached out to the street sweeping service and did request that they do passes through those neighborhoods periodically, but it will not be a regular thing. The street I currently live on does get tons of trucks, and we're talking gravel, we're talking roof framing, we're talking all kinds of stuff. Our houses are completely done. So this has actually been a huge problem on the street I live in on the easternmost side of the community. So I have a great amount of sympathy for everybody who has trucks coming through their neighborhood. It would be awesome if there was some kind of system where all of the drivers, truck drivers, contractors and whatnot were told to go through a specific area and the street sweepers were close behind them, even if that area was no longer technically under construction. Because we have had tons of gravel, tons of base rock, tons of mud and dirt and mess dropped on our street. We have like 20 kids on the street and they're riding bikes and doing all kinds of things. And all it's going to take is one stupid pebble the size of a marble and some kid's going to get a broken elbow. So street sweeping, it is an issue. It is a bigger issue than is being led on, especially when you have little kids riding bikes around. The Dry Creek Ranch sewer and water was up next. This is not owned and operated by Boise Hunter. This is actually owned and operated by the Hunter family. So again, It is not our facility, but we do get the benefit from it. The third well that they are digging is absolutely redundant. Stephen was very emphatic about saying that, hey, look, we are an abundant source of water here. We know that a lot of people are from California and you like water, and God bless it. So again, we have a third well coming in, which is great. And the very important piece to this all that was actually something that was very important to cover is we also have emergency generators. And this is a big thing. So in the event of a power outage caused by fire or otherwise, we still have generators that kick on that pump water. So rest assured, if there's a fire and it knocks out the power lines or something like that, we will still have pressure at the hydrants and water will still come through on your faucets and everything. So that's great. Around 40 minutes in, they did address the power lines that are going up on the north side of the community. The only thing they really addressed is that people might have a concern about the fire hazard. To which he responded, don't worry, there are no trees around them and we have water in our fire hydrants and things of that nature. No care given to the fact that all of the houses along the north side of the community do not want to be staring at power lines out their window. I mean, you have like acre and 2 acre lots and stuff that are literally going to be staring at power lines off their epic balconies. I have several dear friends right now that have second story balconies that literally had unobstructed views of the hills, and they understood houses were going to go up and they didn't care about that. But the power lines getting stuck up there, for what reason? We don't know. And they didn't provide an answer at the HOA meeting. But I can tell you that the people that are on the north side of the community that now have power lines sticking up unceremoniously on that little bluff are not happy about it. And as of yet, we haven't been given a really great answer about why they didn't put them underground and just left them on the poles. Right after that, the sergeant did come in and very kindly gave us time to talk about kids on golf carts and motorbikes and whatnot. The bottom line from this exchange was, look, there is a letter of the law. That's all well and fine. And yeah, you probably shouldn't have 10-year-olds driving golf carts. That doesn't go along with the law. But he just doesn't have the manpower required and the time sitting around to come and follow up on every call about kids on golf carts. The bottom line is the emphasis from the sergeant and Stephen and Kristen was, look, let's try to make a better community within the community. Let's have parents pay closer attention. Let's have parents be more involved. Let's not let our kids be like these roaming kind of Mad Max fiends on motorcycles and whatnot. So the sergeant did acknowledge that there might be violations with the number of kids on golf carts or how golf carts are being driven around. But the bottom line is he is a law enforcement agent, just doesn't have the time and manpower to come and mess around with all this. Now, he did say that there are non-commissioned deputies that come through our community, to which we were asked, what is that? And he said, it's just somebody who works in the sheriff's department that does not have a firearm. And that's great because we can have more of those people coming through. They don't have to be wielding firearms. They can give out reminders for, hey, don't park on this side of the street, try to park on that side of the street, hey, try to be cool with golf carts and whatnot. So that's great. Ultimately, it's very clear that the law enforcement in this area is taking this stuff seriously. They do care about the community. But look, the bottom line is at some point, parents are going to have to take care of their kids. And if you have a concern in the community, maybe just try talking to the parents before you call the police. Now, that's not for every concern, absolutely, but that's essentially what the sergeant was saying. After the sergeant was there, they did talk about the soccer field. They're very excited that it is high school regulation. Please come and play at it. They even put up a sign welcoming people to come and play at the soccer field. But be careful because it's largely a mud pit a lot of the time. The sprinklers have been running excessively, so do not go over there with clothes you don't want to get super dirty and muddy. Just an FYI. I know because I live right around the corner. The trail system will be extended to the north and south. That's cool. And then we hit the equestrian arena. Okay, so here's the deal. Stephen was emphatic in saying that Jim Hunter loves horses and always wanted to have the equestrian center. And the equestrian center has always been in the plans, and this has always been billed as a horse community, which is all true. I mean, I don't actually know if Jim Hunter loves horses, but it sounds true to me. The problem that people have with it is, look, the way this is being rolled out is a huge problem. Because you're spending a ton of money on this equestrian center when you have 300 or 400 other completely finished houses that also want other amenities, like a second pool or a community center or a playground. And we're rolling out this horse area for some residents that have horses or other people coming in outside of the community. How other people coming in outside of the community benefits this community, I do not know, but Stephen was emphatic in saying, hey, this isn't just for horse people. And in fact, his quote was, we don't think this is a one-time use for super rich people who have a horse. He actually said that.
We don't think this is just a one-time use for super rich people who have a horse.
He actually said that. That was about an hour into the meeting. I think an unfortunate choice of words, we would all agree, but his emphasis is, hey, this could be used for people outside of the horse community, which is fine, But when asked several times, what use do you see the rest of us having if we don't own a horse? To which he responded, well, this community center is getting pretty small for HOA meetings.
This building's getting a little small for the HOA meeting.
I believe it was Trish Hernandez who asked, are you suggesting that we hold the HOA meeting in the horse corral? And there was no real answer. So here's the thing. I don't think people are actually super upset that there is an equestrian arena in Dry Creek Ranch. And I mean, I remember when I was buying my house here, they're like, oh yeah, they're billing it as like a ranch and there's going to be a horse area and all this stuff. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. The issue is that it's coming before all of these other things that we all could benefit from today. Again, this is a complex issue. Yes, we understand that this was billed as a horse community, but we were also expecting other things in the community before the horses took priority. At about an hour 10 into the meeting, the barn over on the south side of the community did come up that's fenced off, and one of the residents close to it says, hey, I see kids in there all the time, to which Stephen responded,
We do have both of them insured. We have them insured.
Anyway, so he's saying the barns are insured, so that's good, but don't have your kids playing them, because he did also acknowledge that it's really just one kick from falling over.
One Stephen's left kick away from falling over, so please be careful.
Up next was a school site all the way on the east side of the community. Now, there is a charter school group that is trying to get a charter school in there. If left to West Ada School District, the site would not be developed for about 10 or 11 years at least. Now, it's a smaller site, so unlikely that it would ever be a high school, and the charter school is attempting to get something like a K-5 or a K-8 in there. However, West Ada does own the land. Now, Boise Hunter Homes is attempting to get the land released from West Ada School District so that we can develop a charter school and get things rolling much sooner. But West Ada is disinclined to do this because they don't want to give up the free land, right? They would eventually like to have a school site there. They're just going to take their sweet time for it. Somebody did ask about the traffic patterns. Stephen did not know about the traffic pattern, but he did think that, of course, there would be some kind of four-way stop and there would be some kind of bus system to bring people in from outside the community. I highly encourage you to seek out the charter school group that's on Facebook. These are people that are working extremely hard and have young kids and want the best for our community and their kids. And these are residents in the community. So this is not like a random HOA person. This is literally somebody who wants the best for the kids in the community, and they want to have options. I do greatly hope that I can have a representative from that charter school group come in and do a podcast here soon so that we can get some more details about it. Because again, I'm all about education. I was in education for almost 20 years. I love a great school. And I really like the idea that we'd be able to have a lot of the kids in the community come to a school on site. That would be awesome. But obviously we all want to be involved and we want to make sure it's done well. So check back in soon. At about an hour 20 into the meeting, we got to the social committee, which was a very difficult portion of the meeting to listen back to. Trish Hernandez and company were let go unceremoniously in an email 2 hours prior to the HOA meeting. Stephen did apologize for this. He said he didn't think about it. Man, I wish he had a better answer than that, to be honest, because Trish and Tina and the others in the group worked tirelessly to put on events and poured so much into this community, and were like schlepping like hundreds of pounds of ice cream around for us. Apparently it was a 1-year commitment. Everyone should have known about that, but nobody did. You can submit your application, your resume, however he put it, to be on the social committee for the following year. I am actually fortunate enough, I believe, to have Trish coming in this week so she can tell you more about it. It was a very, very sad portion of the meeting. It came up several times. People were at points in tears. It was an unfortunate experience in that meeting, and even more unfortunate for Trish and Tina and the rest of the social committee. One person did explicitly say on behalf of Dry Creek Ranch, thank you for what you've done, and I repeat that here. Thank you for your efforts. After that, we did get into more amenity talk. There will be a playground theoretically being added somewhere, but they need open green space where people won't object to it going. And Stephen was very fast to say, all of you that have green space near your house do not want a playground there. I don't think that's necessarily true, but that's what he was saying. Then he proposed having the green space and the new playground put up in the Hills community, which is just south of Dry Creek Road. I don't know why anybody would propose putting next playground up there when there are 5 houses done up there, and you're going to have to cross Dry Creek Road and walk in 105-degree weather. Yeah, that's not really something anybody wants to do, but he was also saying that everybody would complain if it were put next to their house. So he's kind of in a pickle. So he proposed putting together a playground committee that would essentially get information from the community and have buy-in from the community so they don't take the heat for it and make everybody mad when they do in fact eventually put in a playground. around somewhere. So there's an opportunity for you to apply to that. He just asks that you send in information about yourself, a resume, application, or just where you live and why you want to help. Next up was the commercial space in the front of the property. So this is the area to the southwest of the community near Dry Creek Road. There's no light there. All right, so there's been no serious commercial interest in the property because the bottom line is if you're going to put an Albertsons or something in there, Albertsons wants to know that you are in fact going to have a stoplight so people can come into the Albertsons and leave safely and easily. But there is no stoplight going in there as of now, so there's no real commercial interest. A gentleman did say that there will be no stoplight there in the long run, and the one over on Beacon and the one on Avamore will also be removed as the communities get developed. Stephen responded that that's decades away. It's a big snafu. Now, there are a lot of people who do not want a commercial development in that spot, and I appreciate that. Like, I would like having a little mom and pop store or a little, brewery or something like that. That would be super awesome, but I also want that light going in. A lot of people are looking at the light as the green light, so to speak, for the Albertsons and other things. So they figure, hey, if we allow this light to go in, there will be an Albertsons, this will get developed, it will have noise and light pollution, and it will be a problem. Look, I can't say if that's right or wrong for sure, but I can say that if no light goes in and Dry Creek Road does in fact turn to a right turn only, meaning if you are heading west on Dry Creek Road coming out of our community and you're attempting to head south on the 55, you will not be able to do that. That is theoretically what is going to happen in the near future. So you will have to come up past the clubhouse, drive through the community, turn left on Beacon, and then turn south on 55 if you actually want to head south. That seems like a horrible idea as well, because do we really want all of the cars coming from this community and communities farther back turning north through our community off of Dry Creek Road, then heading west on Beacon just so they can head south on 55? I think that's a bad idea. No, I'm not saying that's necessarily a worse idea than Albertsons. I mean, let's face it, I don't live near that spot. So, I mean, people saying, hey, I don't want all that noise and light pollution and I don't want some large development there. I'm sympathetic to that. And let me be clear, that's not on my back. That I don't live over there. So I imagine if I did, I likely wouldn't want it either. But I do think there's a very real conversation to be had about the reality of the light going in, because the light going in at Dry Creek Road would allow for a left turn off Dry Creek Road onto 55, which I think everybody wants. So there's some conflict here. I think things can be flushed out for sure, but I don't think that Dry Creek Road turning into a right turn only just to avoid an Albertsons is a great idea. Next up is the pool issue. Now, if you have feet and you do swim at the pool, you likely know that the pool is like a bunch of razor blades. My feet have gotten chewed up. My kids' feet have gotten chewed up. Everyone talks about feet getting chewed up. I actually have water socks now. I've never worn water socks in my life, but I got them now because I don't like my feet being chewed up. Bottom line is there's something going on with the pool. Now, the HOA did know about this. Stephen did say that they knew about it last year. They thought it was a pH issue, so they thought it was literally like a chemical issue, which, look, I don't know much about pH. Maybe it like wears down the skin that you have on your feet, and then that gets chewed up. But one of the residents was saying that he felt that the pool had to be resurfaced because there was something wrong with the gunite or whatever the surface material is on the actual pool. Stephen did not commit to any course of action, but he did say that he did know that it was in fact a problem. So they know about it. I'm still going to wear water socks, and I recommend you do too. After that is the shade. Now, there is no shade because the umbrellas were risky. They couldn't bolt them down for some reason or were unwilling to bolt them down, so they removed them. There are shade sales coming. Stephen was very cautious though, saying, hey, be careful what you wish for, which is kind of funny because we're all wishing for shade. That's pretty much it. He though is from Arizona, so he was quick to tell us, hey, these haven't been super hot, but I mean, frankly, I didn't move to Arizona. I moved here, and 105 is pretty hot, and I like shade at the pool. Anyway, so the sales are coming, the shade sales, and they will fix them up. They're confident that they can get us shade, but he was cautioning that, hey, on days that are 80 or 90, it might be too shaded. So again, be careful what you wish for. And I think it's pretty safe to say pretty much everyone's just wishing for shade at the pool in some fashion. Somebody did ask if the pool and clubhouse on the west will be done before the pool and clubhouse on the east over near the Equestrian Center. Stephen did confirm this. So there will be another pool and clubhouse on the westernmost part of the community before the pool and clubhouse on the easternmost part of the community is put in. This one was rough for me because I live on the eastern part of the community, and it is just over 3/4 of a mile to get to the pool and clubhouse that is already in existence. So to put another one over there was kind of a bummer to hear. I understand the people on the western part of the community are probably happy about this, and honestly, if I lived on the western side of the community, I'd be really happy about it too. But it is a bummer that we don't have a date on putting in the next pool and clubhouse, the one that would go on the west, which means we certainly don't have a date for putting in the next pool and clubhouse on the eastern part of the community near the horse corral. Amenities turned out to be a massive part of this conversation, and it's really clear that people are buying into this community. They have families. There are tons of kids going around. They're putting in horse centers before they put in more pools and playgrounds and clubhouses, and that was a really frustrating thing for people to talk about. But we got through it. So, final issues, and there were many of them. I will only gloss over a couple. The $400 late fee for the HOA. Nobody could tell us why we had the $400 late fee when it's only a $500 fee. It's kind of like an 80% late fee, a little bit steep, but Stephen did confirm that those funds do indeed go to the HOA and not the management company. So that's a win, I guess. After that, Shauna Irwin did ask about the $500+ additional fees at closing when buying your house. Shauna was saying that she is actually experiencing this because she bought her house that she's living in right now at the end of 2021, and she is building and closing on another house in the community and is experiencing this doubling of fees coming out of the HOA. So again, the fees were around $500 about 6-7 months ago, and now they're over $1,000. There was no explanation on why this is the case, and there was no explanation on what that extra money was going to. There was really no explanation on financials at all. Stephen was very quick to say he's not a CPA, there is a spreadsheet, and they did hand it out, so that's cool, but it doesn't really explain why, for instance, there are repair and maintenance and repairs and maintenance. So again, there are a lot of questions about this, not a ton of them were answered. And then things got a little heated. The conversation did come back to the social committee and what was going on there. Bottom line is the community was pretty heated in this HOA meeting. There are a lot of things that they weren't happy about. They weren't happy about no shade at the pool. They weren't happy about the equestrian center. They weren't happy that there are no more amenities and parks and things for our families. And people asked, hey, can you have more than like an annual HOA meeting? To which they responded, no, but we will try to start sending out quarterly newsletters. I think the bottom line is communication here is a real problem. There are a lot of unknowns. People said numerous times that whenever they emailed the HOA, they very rarely got responses, and that stinks because there's really nothing that people hate more than just feeling unheard, and no wonder why. So hopefully what we can do is facilitate more and better communication between the management company, between the HOA, between Boise Hunter Homes, and the actual residents who have bought in, live, work, and play here. I'll do what I can. I encourage you to talk to your neighbors. I encourage you to have a great time. God bless you all, and thanks for watching.
We chased our pleasures here, dug our treasures there. But can you still recall the time we cried? Break on through to the other side.